That's brilliant. So big welcome to everybody. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So what works best is if we all unmute, if you all mute yourselves. Otherwise, if babies cry, dogs bark, or any other unfortunate sounds are emitted, everybody can hear them. And I've learned from experience that that's not a great thing. And also, if you can keep your cameras switched off, otherwise the connectivity gets affected just a little bit. If you want, a bit later on, we'll be asking some questions. And if you want to click on hands up, you'll see there's a whole range of different functions. And what I'd say is have a little play as you're going. And if you want to chat, use the chat function, but people might be able to see your name. If you want to remain anonymous and you want to make a comment, use the Q&A function. So if you just look for those, and if I just ask for everybody just for a moment to just go on to Q&A and just say hi to each other. Yep, they're starting to come in. And if we all do a big hi, because I guess this is a time when we need this collective loveliness, really, don't we? Or if we use loads coming in now. Thank you all so much. And lots of highs. That's just lovely. Somebody said they can't find the Q&A. We'll just use the highs. That's what, yeah. And you can raise your hand as well. You see the raise hand bit? Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and I'm going to start. So every now and then I will go in and answer a few questions. And there will be time at the end for people to make comments. With Zoom, we have to be a bit sharpish because I'm not sure whether our room will disappear bang on 8 o'clock. So I've got to be on top of this. So I just wanted to start by saying a huge thanks. This is myself and Susie Dion tonight. And you can see Susie there. And Susie has had a really wonderful part to play in this, but a really difficult day because starting off with Zoom for lots and lots of people is just a little bit scary. But she's been brilliant. So a major thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
The course is coming from Worth, which is a collaboration between University of Northampton, the GPA, which is a group of a sort of GP coalition, and of course Smart Wellbeing, which is linked in with Dr. David Smart, myself, Susie. So let's start. As you can see here, what we've said is this is a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, and we're looking at finding ways forward during these really, really difficult times. And just, you know, for those of you that are frontline NHS, for all of you who are just, and I think, you know, we all deserve a clap because I think everybody is really trying to do the best we can in such difficult times. And so, yeah, and there's a clap. That's what we want. So the idea of today is that, and these next 8-9 weeks that we have together, is we will have a weekly mindful check-in, and together we're going to look at developing a range of strategies that we can come out of this at the other end, you know, feeling better, managing, and maybe even taking this opportunity to allow mindfulness, acceptance, compassion right into our lives so that we can come out the other side of it even better. And I think if we can do that, what a wonderful outcome that'll be. So a massive welcome to everybody. And here's the first slide. So I've just sort of said here that the first, I think my video is just switched off. Can you still see me, Susie?
I can't. Oh, I can now. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back now. Yes.
Oh, that's good. So the idea is to help you deal better with stress, anxieties, problems with over worrying, because there's a lot of evidence now that tells us that we are becoming a nation of worriers before COVID-19, actually, and that worrying is something that becomes a right habit, and mindfulness is great for impacting on that. We hope this will help people deal with low mood if they're struggling, but above all, you know, it's learning how to use mindfulness in that more sort of global way to lead happier, more meaningful lives. So I'm kind of just really hoping that this can be really, really helpful for you guys, you know? And so let's move on and start seeing if we can't make a real difference. So one of my favorite kind of pictures here of mindfulness, it really kind of says it so well. And I think at the moment, this is what people are experiencing. So this was certainly me at the moment, kind of feeling dead busy because of everything that's going on. But it was me 4 or 5 years ago, a bit longer than that, entirely really. And it's that sense of a mind full, you know, a cluttered mind, where we don't deal with anything, and our mind becomes like a receptacle for brain spam, I like to call it, where our brain just spams us with worries and concerns. In the same way that we receive junk email, our brain just kind of sends this stuff through. And I think that gets really, really difficult. And the beauty, I think, of mindfulness is we want to be more like the dog. So I've banned Billy the Mindful Dog tonight because he's in a woofy mood. But normally he sits next to me and he quite enjoys a mindfulness webinar. So my hope is that oh, I think there we are.
Oh,
And my screen has disappeared.
I can see you on full screen now.
Yeah, thank you, Suze.
Yeah.
And our hope is that we can really kind of, yeah, get forward. So yeah, just bear with me on this one. And what we need is to become more like the dog, you know, in many ways actually, but particularly so that when we are in the context of, because mindfulness is contextual, you know, and in the context of going for a lovely 1 hour exercise walk, as we're all allowed to do, aren't we? And maybe if we take the dog mindfully and responsibly, then in that 1 hour, you know, we should be smelling the smells of the countryside. We should be seeing the sights. We should be feeling the wind on our face. And our mind, ideally, will be on our walk, and it will be going where we want it to go, rather than our walk being hijacked by thoughts, feelings, worries, and emotions. And this is where we want us all to be by the end of our course, is just seeing and being in this present moment, because that's what mindfulness is all about. So if I was to define mindfulness, I guess I would say for me, the really important part about mindfulness is that we have the ability to pay attention deliberately and on purpose, our choice, you know? And the other thing about mindfulness is it allows us to be in this present moment. We'll do a bit more on that in a minute. So this is what we're planning to do. So if you hover by your chat function and get ready to think, because we're proponents of psychological flexibility. So we aren't going to run a course which is fixed. So I am writing the course each week. So in between the course, if you send us stuff, if you let us know, you know, Mike, could you cover that next week or cover that in the 9 weeks? We'll really try hard to do that. But we're going to have an opportunity in a minute to, if you see on this slide, we've said that we're going to use the webinar to help us find greater levels of peace when we need peace in the context then. We want to use this webinar, a mindfulness course, to help us handle the stress of this such a difficult time. We want to, this is so important, isn't it? Get us to a place where we're responding rather than reacting. We want to make more mindful, compassionate choices that take us towards being the human being we want to be, not the kind of 16-year-old we once were, which I continually find myself inhabiting from time to time. We want to live closer to the serenity prayer. Remember that one? Lord, grant me the serenity to accept what cannot be changed, the courage to change the things I can, but the wisdom to know the difference. We want to increase our ability to be mindful amongst others, and few people are agreeing with that one, and getting some nice comments in from people. So don't be afraid, use the chat function, make comments. I can find them and respond, you see. And the big one, I think, is just finding our more mindful self by managing our thoughts. And so I'm coming over to you guys now, out there in Etherland, and I'm just asking, what else would you like us to cover over this 8-9 weeks? Is there anything else that, you know, as part of this time of struggle that would help us beyond what I've listed there? And, you know, once we know that and we get a list of that, so a few people coming in now, so I'm going to go live now to the chat function. Yeah, so some people are saying, I need time to think about that. Oh, and Katie, you've come back with an absolute peach there, managing uncertainty. Yeah, and mindfulness is one of the best ways to manage uncertainty. So we certainly will be helping with managing uncertainty, largely by moving us from a place of rigidity to a much greater place of flexibility. Lisa has come in. That's very interesting, Lisa. Thank you for that. People are coming in and saying how to control worry. Other people are saying, how do we helping us to face the personal mortality of coronavirus? Yeah, dealing with impulse control. Yeah, that makes real sense. And taking, and from everything sort of being taken over. Yeah, thank you so much. So there's some stuff there, that the beauty of this, and how to deal with cabin fever, how to deal with not being able to hug loved ones.
That's a lovely one. That
Isn't
is,
it a lovely one?
I'm struggling with that, and not to be able to hug people. And when I see, you know, when I see people, my neighbour, for instance, you know, you can't hug them. You can only see them over the wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are struggling with that stuff. So thank you, guys. Do you know, the more interactive we make this 8-9 weeks, and we'll get better at it from our front as well.
Yes.
You know, we'll use the webinar, as I've been keep saying. It's different. We're using a meeting hosting platform tonight, and the meeting hosting platform only allows one person to actually be in control, and unfortunately that seems to be me in charge of the buttons, which is never a good idea for those of you who know the Luddite that is Mike Scanlon. So thank you so much for that, and we're going to pay attention to what you've said, and we're going to find ways to meet your needs. So right now, let's do a bit of an exercise together, if you wouldn't mind, because one of the big challenges that I'm coming across, and a lot of the people I see for one-to-one therapy, is because of what's occurring at the moment, people are finding that they're either spending vast swathes of time thinking about what it's going to be like when all of this finishes, vast waves of time hoping and clinging on to everything we hear that might tell us that this might come to an end a bit sooner than we're told it might. And if we're doing that, we are not in this present moment. So let's just, if you wouldn't mind, have a bit of a play. And the beauty about this play is nobody else can see you making a right, nobody else can see you kind of making a fool of yourself, although I don't believe this is making a fool of yourself. Or even nobody else can see you playing, because as grown-ups, we're not great at playing, are we? I know a few of you who are pretty good at playing, but on tonight. But so I'm going to ask you to grab hold of an imaginary steering wheel, if you wouldn't mind. And
people can see me.
Yeah, that's good. So Susie, if you grab hold of that steering wheel, that's lovely.
Right.
And I'm grabbing hold of mine. And just have a look and just make sure you're driving a normal car, not a tractor, or a Dodgem for those of you with little hands. So I want you to imagine that you're driving along and you're fixed on the hump in the hill right at the end of that road there. And that's all you're concerned with, is what's going to be over the hump in the hill. Now, already I found that I'm gripping my steering wheel tighter and there's tension going through my body. And because I'm focusing on the hump in the hill, I'm completely missing the scenery. And that's one of the problems that we're finding at the moment with this really difficult time, is that people are not finding joy, happiness, pleasure in the people that we love and the people that are around us, in the simple stuff of life. You know, it's been a beautiful day today. You know, we're getting stuck watching stuff that we don't want to watch. And mindfulness gives us choice. So grab hold of the steering wheel again, because another conundrum that's cropping up is a lot of people are talking about, you know, I wish it was like it was before, you know, COVID-19 came. And I remember I didn't cope very well with SARS, and I didn't cope very well. I never coped very well. And we spend our life looking in the rear view mirror. So if you wouldn't mind now, just tilting your head up and as though you were looking in the rear view mirror, and imagine driving forward, looking behind you through that rear view mirror. And again, I can feel tension, and I can feel even a sense of anxiety coming, because there's a sense that at any moment I'm going to crash. And it's the going to crash that mindfulness can help with, because if we're living our lives in this present moment, yeah, there's difficulty around and there's sadness, and we hear some very, very sad, worrying information coming our way. And we also can find stories of joy, happiness, real human connectedness, people behaving brilliantly. And what mindfulness gives us is the ability to be in this present moment more often. And this present moment sometimes can be wonderful, and sometimes it can be difficult. But the wonderful thing about this present moment is that it passes. So even in times of difficulty, this too shall pass. So there is something about this course that encourages us, and a huge part of this mindfulness stance is the present moment is the only place where we can actually live and feel joy, rather than worrying about what might be or over focusing on what has been. Let's try to live each day, day by day. And by doing that, hour by hour, meeting what happens with equanimity. And that's a kind of smiling serenity prayer, isn't it? And so that brings us to our very first meditation, which I'm just going to just talk about for a few moments before we go into it. Because one of the other things that mindfulness really does bring us is the ability to be much more mindful about our bodies and our body's response, or perhaps reaction, to stress and difficulty. And so the first meditation, which is the body scan, and what we're going to send you tomorrow is all of the meditations which link into my YouTube channel, so that you can all access the meditations as well. I will ask that you kind of follow the course, so when you get sent it, the links tomorrow with the recording, or the next day, dependent on how busy the wonderful Susie is, then you will get the meditations at the same time. But the one we're practicing with tonight is going to be the body scan. And the way I like to use the body scan, and the way that lots of mindful people use the body scan, is because it helps us determine what's actually happening in our bodies, rather than what our fear brain or our low brain or our avoidant brain is telling us is happening in our bodies. Because how many of you have had experiences where all of a sudden you've sort of, you know, I thought my heart was going to burst. No, it wasn't. It was beating a bit faster. Or, you know, my throat was so tight I couldn't even speak. There was tightness, but you could speak. And we whir up our own anxiety by the language that we use. And if we're mindful of that language, and we're mindful of what's actually occurring at a physiological level, we can smile at our brain when it sends us a thought like, I won't be able to cope because I'm sweating buckets. No, you're not. There's 3 beads of sweat on your forehead that nobody else will notice. And mindfulness opens the door to some of the truths that anxiety makes us miss. And that's what I think is so important. So, yeah, this too shall pass. People like that. And I can struggle with that. I'm either in the past, what if that happened, says Jeff, or the future, what may happen. And Jeff, that's why you're doing this course, because this is going to enable you to develop the mindful skills to circumvent some of that very unhelpful thinking. So when we meditate and do the body scan normally, we all lie down. So it's a meditation that's best done lying down. But for tonight, can I suggest that we all sit and try and look dignified? So that's it. So if you look at Susie, hopefully now, unfortunately, she's disappeared from my screen, so I can't see her for some reason.
I can still see myself.
Yeah, but I'm sure Susie always looks dignified, so I'm sure she is now. But I'm trying my hardest here. So dignified means kind of shoulders relaxed, a sort of comfortably straight back, both feet flat on the floor. And I almost get the sense that some of you are sort of lounging at the moment. You're pulling yourselves up. Don't worry, we can't see you. And once we've got ourselves into that dignified position, I'm going to just ask you to close your eyes, or just half close them, or maybe even fix your eyes on a spot on the floor about sort of 6 feet in front of you. And now let's do the very first meditation. And please, guys, when you do this, if you're new to meditating, your mind is going to wander. The human mind wanders, it's just what it does. Never get cross, because the other part of defining mindfulness is paying attention deliberately on purpose, without judgment. No judgment. What is, is. So, whilst expecting your mind to wander, let's just do this in the spirit of curiosity. About 6 or 7 minutes, this meditation. So if we close our eyes, and I'm closing mine too, and we just make ourselves comfortable. And we like to start the meditation with the Ting Se bells. So, and we very gently allow the sound of the bells to dissipate and disappear. And we stop and we just be pleased with ourselves, not in a smug way, but in a compassionate way, that we're taking time out to do something life-changing, to do something wonderful, to connect with a group of like-minded people, all striving for the same goals. We allow that in, and we very gently take our attention and we find our breath. We don't change it, we don't judge it, we just find it. And we follow the inhalation in and follow the exhalation out. We just attach our attention to our breath and let go. Just breathing, noticing where the in-breath begins and where the out-breath begins and ends. And we begin to take our attention to the movement of the body and the chest and the tummy. We perhaps place a hand gently on your tummy and your abdomen. And as we breathe in, just like you to bring your mindful attention to what's occurring in your body as we breathe. Perhaps the chest moves upwards and outwards. As we breathe in, and the chest just lets go on the out breath. Perhaps we're balloon breathers, and as we breathe, we feel our tummy, our abdomen just pushing out towards where our hand is resting. And as we breathe out, that softens and relaxes. Maybe we're nasal breathers, and we can feel the air as it comes in through our nostrils and out through our nostrils. And we just sit with that breath, and then we take our attention and we escort our attention down to the foot, the right foot, and the toes of the right foot. And we just be curious. Have we started wiggling them? Because that wasn't one of the instructions. Doesn't matter. But we always wiggle our toes when we attend to them. And is there a space you can find between each toe? And let's switch and find the toes of the left foot. There. Just stay there for a minute. And then just take your attention up and find your right knee. And just notice that bend as you sit here. Your knee allows you to bend. And check out the left knee as well. And just check out again, just scanning our body as we move up. We get to our tummy. We feel the breath there. And what is there in our tummy? We notice feeling in our tummy, and we don't judge it. We just experience it and allow it, make space for it. And we move up. We come once more to the chest, and we just settle our attention on our breath once more, noticing our chest moving up and out, and then relaxing on the out breath. And when your mind wanders, as it surely is, perhaps it's time for our first mindful half smile of acceptance. So no crossness, no striving. Your mind has wandered. Mine did. Go find it. Where's it wandered to? Where am I in this meditation? Oh, we're at the chest. And we bring our attention back and connect once more with the chest. And then we find our hands. And we just explore our right hand, perhaps taking the finger and thumb and palpating the finger and the thumb. And then the same on the left. And bringing attention to our shoulders where we hold so much stress. And no real intent to drop the shoulders, just being curious. Are they relaxed? Are they soft? Could they relax just a little bit more? Moving onwards and upwards, we get to the throat and the jaw. We bring that curiosity there too. Noticing if the jaw is clenched. Does it feel different if we just let our jaw go? Yeah, it does. More relaxed somehow. And we notice if we're frowning. And once more we smile. And we finally just get to the top and we find our scalp. And we explore our scalp. Is there sensation there? Is there tingle? Is there an itch? And we accept whatever comes. What is. And for the last minute of this meditation, I'm just going to ask you to scan back down your body, just checking in mindfully, going from the top of the head all the way down to the feet and the toes. And I'm just going to give us a minute and a half, and then the meditation will end with the bells once more. So let's body scan ourselves, flying solo now, for 1.5 minutes, and go. And if your mind wanders, remember, just smile and just tether it and bring it back to wherever you were. Well done, everybody. And another opportunity there. Any comments? Did you find that your mind wandered? Did you? Thanks, Helen. It's nice to know I'm still sitting here because I can't see myself. That was really sweet of you. Jess, I can struggle with that. I'm either in the past. Yeah, I've got that one, Jeff. Thanks. Any other comments? How was that? Bliss from Suze. Emma says she loved it. That's lovely of you. Thank you so much. It's good for us to know. I've
Nearly fell asleep.
and but someone's cat's just come in. I've had a bad day. That was difficult for me. Yeah. Relaxing, others are saying. That's lovely. Drifting off a bit to sleep too. Do you know, no judgment. Yeah. Roxy the dog's just enjoying it apparently too. Yeah. And Helen, really interesting one. I felt all the aches and pains of just sitting. Yeah. Dave found tension in his shoulders. Hard not to think of difficult stuff, isn't it, perhaps? And yeah, and here Amanda, she daydreamed a bit, you know. No names, just first names here. A bit of daydreaming going on. And guided meditation, says Tanya. Jeff, too many distractions. And let me just cover that one with the distractions, because I don't know, some of you might have attended. I know, Dave, you were there. We did a mindfulness course once below a gym, and you could hear people all the time. And I would just say to you, try not to worry too much about distractions. Distractions allow us to hone our mindfulness, because every time we get distracted, the very action of retrieving your attention and bringing it back is the essence of mindfulness. So it is the gentle retrieving that helps so much. And, you know, the body scan reminds us too that in the same way that we scan our body and we move, thoughts are the same, you know. They come and they go, just like clouds passing on the slide. So, well done, everybody. First meditation under the belt. So, let's have another think about why the body scan is so important. Because sometimes when we feel a real physiological sense of stress and difficulty, a very human way forward, or a very human way to cope, is, if you can all imagine for a moment, there's a beach ball bobbing on the water in front of you, And the physical feelings of stress and anxiety, we don't want them. You know, and we convince ourselves that we can't possibly exist with them. So we try to make them go away, and we push that beach ball under the water. So we try and suppress that physicality of anxiety by distraction, by counting, by being cross with ourselves, by doing anything rather than have that tension. What we actually need to be doing, weirdly, is moving towards that and being curious about it. Because you know what happens when we push that beach ball down? As long as we're concentrating on keeping it under the water, we're fine. But as soon as that distraction and our mind is taken away, and that's how stress is during this difficult time. So we need to be mindfully accepting that this is a very difficult time. And of course, my shoulders are here a bit more than they were pre-COVID-19. And of course, I feel it in my tummy. But we also know, because we've experienced it, that we can't make it go away. If we apply curiosity to it, our mind will start to let go of it over time, but we can't make it go away. So a part of this course is very much about finding ways of dealing with the physicality of anxiety, which is a bit of the focus of tonight's session, isn't it? So I'm going to share with you one of my favorite right in this moment little mindfulness aids, and it's just called And Plus. So what we do with this one, and this is one I use myself all the time. So I might just be sort of pootling along in my day, and all of a sudden, my body, which is, you know, the great teller, isn't it? We think of our body and it gives us tells, and those tells are the tells that let us know that there's something kind of going on in our mind, usually in our amygdala, our fear center. So all of a sudden, I might get a kind of discomfort feeling in my tummy, or maybe even a kind of feeling in my heart, or a stoppage of the breath suddenly. And when that happens, if I try not to have it or I distract myself from it, our brains don't like that at all, so it just sends it again. What our brain likes is if we meet that with curiosity and equanimity, and the and process allows us to do this. So I'll share with you how it works. So when I get that feeling, which is my tell that there's something going on, I acknowledge it first. I say, okay, so yeah, my body is telling me that, you know, there's some stress and anxiety around. So there's the A, the acknowledge of that. So I acknowledge it. Yep, there's some difficulty, there's some stress, there's some anxiety. And I'm leaning into it, you know. And then I name the emotion that's showing up. Oh gosh, that's a sort of fear or a trepidation going on here. And then I describe, oh gosh, this is making me feel quite kind of worried and uncomfortable. And once I've leaned into it with the and process, I then go to my two choices. So am I going to do what doesn't work, which is try not to have this anxiety? Am I going to try and push it away like the beach ball? Am I going to try and just distract and distract and distract, which stops me from experiencing joy? Or am I actually going to meet what's occurring, what's happening, with a lovely, mindful curiosity? And I would encourage you, as part of this course, to start playing with the latter. So if we calmly just lean in and we do our and, we notice the lack of workability of pushing away and fighting anxiety, and we lean into it and we go, so what am I anxious about? And we suddenly realize that I'm a bit anxious about driving home from a walk with Billy the mindful dog and being stopped by the police. And I'm worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. And even if it does, you know, I'll cope with it. And by leaning in, I've dealt with it. Yeah. So, and plus, try that in the week, because that sort of, it's a quick body scan, isn't it? And it takes a few seconds. Acknowledge, name, describe, 2 choices. And it takes minutes to do, or even just a minute when we get good at it. And I'd really say that mindfulness isn't just about meditation. It's about the stance we take to the world and our lives and what's happening around us. It's about meditating. It's a huge part of this is honing our meditative skills and creating stillness and quiet and finding ourselves through meditation. But it's also about activities and the stuff that we do, doing it more mindfully. So I hope you find that practicing the body scan can be enormously relaxing, as long as we do it in the spirit of mindfulness, not expecting it to be kind of the panacea that some people will. It isn't, but it just helps massively. So at this point, I'm going to ask you to make a commitment, because I can imagine some of us, before we came on, we said to our partners, or we said to someone close to us, do you know, I really hope this is going to help. I really hope that doing this course with that Mike and Susie is going to help us. And I would say hope is fantastic, but hope with commitment, now that butters parsnips, that takes us forwards. And the commitment I think I'm asking of you guys is to meditate. To begin with, just the body scan is all we're going to ask you to do every single day at a time of your choosing. And the meditation is about 7 minutes. And I know that some of you are going to come back next week and we don't do a checkup, you know, this isn't school. And some of you will, you know, find saying, you know, I just didn't get time to do it every week. And I always find myself smiling, no judgment, but I'm smiling and thinking, gosh, that's interesting, because I'm sure that, I think this might sound like judgment, so I'm going to be careful. So I'm curious about, why couldn't they find 7 minutes? Was their life really that busy? Yeah. So let's make a commitment to trying the and process. Let's make a commitment to reading the booklet for session 1. We're sending you a booklet that accompanies this course as well, that we've developed especially for this course, that blends mindfulness, acceptance, and compassion. And so let's find that commitment to take ourselves forwards as well. A big part of this course is also going to be really harnessing the Action for Happiness and all of the Action for Happiness resource. So one of the ones I want us to think about today, and I've been doing this in preparation for the course, and so each day I look and I see that yesterday it was get active. Even if you're stuck indoors, move and stretch. Now I'm going to add something to this. I'm going to say that this wonderful Action for Happiness calendar for Active Coping April 2020, I'm going to say I am going to get active, but I'm going to get active mindfully, you know? And I'm going to make sure that my attitude towards getting active is mindful. So yesterday, get this, I actually donned my Lycra. I didn't actually, I just wanted to say that. But I did sort of don my tracky bottoms. And I did an hour of yin yoga yesterday, mindfully, indoors, you know, and I did a good bit of moving and stretching. And today I contacted a friend and just said, are you okay? But I did it mindfully. I was really aware of not doing it in a hurried way. So the other thing we're going to ask you to do this week, just for this week, is just have a look at your calendar each day. Perhaps download it. You can just Google Action for Happiness calendars and it comes up. And
I can send the link as well. I'm quite happy to send the link in the morning.
Oh, that'll be so useful. Thank you, Susie. And also have a look at the website and the 10 keys. There's this is all a very mindful process as well. So let's use this 9 weeks to acquaint ourselves with the Action for Happiness movement. You know, Northampton is kind of leading, is a leading light in Action for Happiness across the country. And so let's add to that beacon of hope that the Action for Happiness provides us with.
And one of the other things that we're doing in Northampton is when the lockdown on the 23rd of March started, we looked in Northamptonshire how we could support our community. And I've been doing a weekly newsletter which has got tips around how to cope within this time, and actually it's now on week 3, and I'm happy to circulate weeks 1, 2 and 3 to the circulation, and it just gives you some helpful hints and tips on how to cope through this difficult time. And I'm now sending it out weekly on a Friday, and it's got some really good responses, and it certainly helps me, and the feedback I have also helps me as well.
Thanks, Susie. So yeah, this is, as you can see, John Kabat-Zinn plus. So we're not following the standard course rigidly, but as I said earlier, why would we be rigid when we know that greater psychological flexibility leads to greater happiness, contentment? And so that takes us to your home practice. So we are going to ask you to please do the body scan meditation at least 6 times, and you'll get the guided meditation sent through to you. And in the booklets that we send through, you'll also see that there's a space there to record your home practice. Some people like to record, some people just like to do the meditation. And that home practice form is just for you, you know? The other thing we're going to ask you to do is choose a routine activity in your life and make a deliberate effort to bring moment-to-moment awareness to the activity. And this morning I did some listening to music mindfully. And what I mean by that is I didn't switch Spotify on and choose a lovely piece of music by a band called Phosphorance, who are just lovely. And what I did was I stopped. I closed my eyes and I listened to it properly, mindfully. So each day we're going to ask you to choose one of those everyday tasks and just do it more mindfully, you know? And also look at your Action for Happiness calendar and see if we can't apply a mindful curiosity to making a new choice each and every day. Don't forget the and process as well, because the and process can be a little bit transformational, because it's one of those things that you can do throughout the day. So that kind of takes us towards the end of our first session. I'm just going to go to the chat function and just see any other thoughts, anything coming in that any comments on how you've done tonight, anything that we could do differently. I must stop saying as a mindful note.
Can I just say, Mike?
Have a think.
Yeah. Can I just say, Mike, this really helped me, and today you've been amazing, because as you know, this has been quite stressful to set up, but it's so worthwhile. And next week will be much better, because we've done session 1. You know, I can relax now knowing that it all works and it all goes, you know, it's all brilliant. So thank you, and thank you for your support today.
Oh, my pleasure. And you know, thank you, Suze. But the other thing that I'm finding, you know, is that we're getting some really interesting stuff through. So yeah, someone's just come through here with something about yoga, saying they use Yoga Nidra, and Yoga Nidra provides them with a very similar experience to the body scan. Suze has come through and saying she's had a few light bulb moments, so thank you. Alex saying it was helpful. Michelle just thanking us for getting it going. That's okay. I think Suze needs most of that. Lots of really good, yeah, and people coming in say they've never used Zoom before. So we had some Zoom virgins today, and how lovely that you've got past that one. Other people saying they too use yoga, and the simple focus on everyday things, and that is the big shift. I think what puts people off mindfulness sometimes is people come on a mindfulness retreat, this is a bit like a kind of virtual retreat, isn't it? People come on a virtual retreat or a mindfulness course like this, and they expect it's going to be hours and hours. My kind of wish would be that there's a brilliant piece of evidence, a wonderful study by a guy called Dusek in 2007, not even that old really, but even all those years ago, 2007, Dusek did this brilliant piece of research, proper randomized controlled trial research, where he found that meditating for up to 17.5 minutes a day actually brings cortisol down. Isn't that incredible? And it brings it down in a lastingly beneficial way. So we are going to attempt to build our daily meditation up to around about 17.5 minutes. That's my goal for everybody. Now, that doesn't mean 17.5 minutes at one seat. It means 17.5 minutes of meditation interspersed throughout the day. I don't ever do a meditation longer than about 10 minutes, but I do 2 or 3 a day, and I do a lot of yoga, and that allows me to get to that place. So Liam's just come in saying he's already planned when he's going to be doing his meditation. There's commitment. Thank you, Liam. Lots of people coming forward, and just a major big thanks from those of us at this side, and big thanks to David Smart as well, who's came on tonight. And David's been really supportive and helped us get all of this stuff together. So thank you all very, very much. I just got Netflix, actually, so I'm going to go mindfully watch Sex Education on Netflix, which I'm finding really funny. So thanks, everybody. What we will do is we will send out all of the we'll send the recording tomorrow. We'll send the booklet, which I promise I'll send to Susie, because you haven't got it yet, have you, Susie?
No, I haven't got it.
And I will also send you the file with the meditations. So you'll get a lot of stuff tomorrow. Don't be worried by it. Let's take it week by week. Next week, of course, we'll have some new people coming in. So please bear with me, because I'll do a sort of quick resume of what we covered in session 1, but I promise lots of new material as well. So thank you all so much. Please keep safe out there. Look after yourselves and others. And Emma Dillon always says, take care and give care. And I love that. So take care, give care.
And just one last thing, as I say, I will be deleting the meetings from your diaries tomorrow, but I will be resending them out. So don't panic when I delete them. I'll just be resending them out blind copied, because I now know how to do it. So thank you all for bearing with us. And this has been really enjoyable. So thank you all.
Thanks. And some people are actually saying, this is going to help with the meditation. Yeah, there she is, Emma, with her take and give care. I always like that when I get that one. So thank you all to everybody. And enjoy your evening, enjoy the week, enjoy being mindful and accepting. Have a go at the and plus process, and let's thrive through this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.